And welcome back to the channel. It gives me great pleasure to introduce yet another new aircraft. It's been a busy time, and you know what, it just shows you that this flight sim is very much alive and kicking. Now apologies, my review is a little bit late because simply it's just not enough time in the day, but just like the Bonanza which I've showed now on the channel, this is a complete overhaul of the default Baron to give it beautiful smooth analog gauges, as well as electrical systems that have been completely overhauled, and everything is modeled, including all of the engine simulation effects like foul spark plugs, backfiring, flooding, all the good stuff that you love as a general aviation enthusiast. So we're going to take this for a flight in VR with the Varjo AERO with the DOF Reality H2, but first of all, we're in 2D mode because it makes sense for me to show you in detail the checklist and to, start this aircraft up, because there's a lot to this bird. Now, as you can see here, we're inside the cockpit of the Baron, and it's absolutely stunning. And I must remember to switch the lights off so you can see the panel lighting, because that has also been upgraded. Very, very nice. There's a few things to mention here, such as hot swappable radio stacks, so you can have the GTN 750, or even no radios at all. It even has mathematically accurate VOR and ADF signal noise degradation, say that after a few pints, which basically means, say if you are in hilly terrain or the VRS station is quite far away, then these CDI needles will sort of be affected by that radio interference. Oh guys, what this thing cannot do isn't worth mentioning. It really isn't. All the radio stacks, including that of the EDM 750, is it? No, 760, sorry, down here, is all modeled exactly like the real thing. So anyway, let's get this beautiful aircraft fired up. As you can see here, it's incredibly windy today. I'm going to show you the DOF Reality H2 in action as well later on once we get into VR. But first of all, let's go and fire this aircraft up. And for that, we need the checklist. And check out this checklist. Look how comprehensive this is. So I'll try and go through this as quickly as possible. And if I do things wrong, that's okay. That's part of the fun of owning an aircraft like this, is the consequences to your actions. Something that makes general aviation flying so much more rewarding, without a doubt. So, pre-flight inspection has been complete. Seats and seatbelts are secure. Cabin doors are latched. And by the way, it's worth mentioning that the doors do not open on this, unfortunately, but the storm window does. In here, how windy it is today. Oh my goodness me. Emergency gear handle is stowed. That's behind us. Avionics breakers are all in, and they, by the way, do pop out because there's some down here as well. So make sure that they are all in, which they are, I hope. Flaps are up. Oxygen pressure is at 1550 to 1850. That's over here, this little dial. Out of the way. That is in the green. Avionics are off. Throttle is closed. RPM is high. And we'll also now put the mixture up to the high position as well. Fully rich. So cowl flaps should be in the open position. They are. Aileron trim and rudder trim is centered. Landing gear is absolutely down. Let me just check. It is. Should be. All sub-panel switches are indeed off. If you're wondering what... By the way, with the checklist, if you don't know where something is, just click on it like that and it goes straight to it. I love that. The checklist really is a party piece of this add-on because it's so comprehensive. So, the main circuit breakers, they're down here. Again, look at this. You can pop them all out. And that can happen, just like in the real thing. So, you really do need to make sure that they are safe and secure. Alternate static air, that's down here. That is normal. Carbon monoxide detection. That is also a thing with this, just like the Bonanza. That's okay. That's blinking green. We'll just check it. That's okay. Fuel selectors are both on. Beacon light can now come on now. And look at this. My last flight, I did not turn my beacon and nav light off. And it's shown there. That shows how incompetent I am as a pilot. And I love that. Makes me feel more connected to the aircraft, if that makes sense. Battery master can now come on, as can the left and right alternator. We're checking for 23 volts minimum, which is correct. Annunciators, we'll just check those. Test and consider. Yep. I cannot tell you enough how beautiful this panel looks like, especially in VR with Varjo AERO. It's so gorgeous. I've been doing quite a few night flights this weekend. Yeah, absolute pleasure. In fact, I might even use this aircraft for the Pimax Crystal review to check out the local dimming, because the night lighting with the beautiful panel all lit up, yeah, that's going to be very special. Now for our next checklist item, if the cabin is quite cold, now today it isn't, it's 16 degrees already because it's quite warm outside today, you can actually start up the combustion air heater before even starting the engine, and that's down here. Now we don't need that today, but for the purpose of this review, I'll just show you that and you can hear how it starts up. Can you hear that, guys? The ignition. And it's all these custom sounds that are very well blended in with the default sounds that I'm very impressed with. They don't sound out of place, if that makes sense. Right, anyway, we're now ready to start the engine because we're going to do that bit as we start. And the engine is cold at the moment. It's looking very busy here at Birmingham Airport, just like in real life. This is courtesy of FS Traffic. Now, it's also worth noting, talking about real life, that the real Baron is quite temperamental to start, and this is simulated here, so I guess we'll see how we get on as we start the engine. Right then, so first of all we're going to start the right engine first. We'll just put the fuel pump onto low first of all. Yep, we can hear that, that sounds good. Very, very subtle sounds there. And then we're going to crack open the throttle to full, and then put the boost pump on to high for 2 to 3 seconds. There we go. And the boost pump can go off. Throttle can be cracked. And this is it, guys. The moment of truth. Pray to the aviation gods and see what happens. Get rid of this checklist here. Clear prop. And we have not got a good start. Just as I expected. You see, this is what owning this aircraft is all about, really, is the fact that you just don't know what you're going to get. Right, we'll try that again. And because it's so windy today, it looks like the prop is still going. So we're just going to feather that for a moment. Stop it. That is all model, by the way, as well. Let's try that again, shall we, guys? So, prop fully forward. Sorry, throttle fully forward. 2 to 3 seconds. And here we go. Let's try this again. Oh, there we go. I think we've got a good engine start there. Fantastic. And just the feeling of relief. You know, I know what it's like when you start an aircraft up in real life, and sometimes it won't catch the first time, and you start getting a little bit anxious. That same feeling is presented even in the sim. I love that. So, we'll do the same process again for the left engine. So, come down here, left fuel pump on low. That is audible. Just put the throttle to the high position. Fuel pump on high for 2 to 3 seconds. And if you can hear that, guys, probably not, but the fuel pump sound on the left sounds different from the right. Those are the kind of things that I notice, and it makes a huge difference. It's not just a copy and paste sound for both fuel pumps. I love that. Anyway, again, pray to the aviation gods. Here we go. And we have a good start on the left engine as well. Fantastic. It's worth noting before I forget also that the Bravo throttle quadrant magneto switch sometimes, in fact actually it's best, because it can conflict with this, to just take out the binding key for the start so you can do both individually. Just a bit of a tip there. So even though the default sounds of the Baron are present, I can personally detect some of the custom sounds with the model here. Beautiful. Anyway, back into the cockpit we go. More work to do. So we need to do the afterstart checklist. Presuming we need to put the avionics on. Yes, we do. So lights as required. We'll put the taxi light on. Nav light can come on now. Weather radar. Now this is where the features and functions of all the failure system come into play. As you've seen here, my engine condition isn't perfect because I have been flying this for a couple of hours now, and yeah, you can see they're just slowly starting to need repair because I need to get better at flying this thing. But also, if you want to get really deep into the systems, you can set the global failure rate to decrease or increase, as well as set detailed settings failures here. Very cool. But for now, we're going to leave things on that display. Avionics can now come online. Cabin heat as desired. Well, as I say, we're at, well, 11 degrees. So maybe we can start the cabin heater ignition. And also the air conditioning. You can all hear these sounds coming into play as well, which is fantastic. Right, we'll just... we're going to use the GNS 530 today. That's the default Asobo GPS, which these days is actually very, very detailed. So mixture lean for taxi. But what we're going to do, guys, actually, before we jump into VR, is we're going to do the run up here. Just because after this, we'll jump into VR and do the rest of the video. We're going to do a little flight plan today. Just simple one, heading from Birmingham to Liverpool. That should be a really nice flight, especially in such windy conditions over the sea there. So, parking brake is set. Annunciators test and consider once again. Remote compass is... Oops. Remote compass is slaved and aligned. It is. That's all good. Mixture fully rich. Right, we're now going to do the run-up test. And for this, I'm still going to just use the mouse. Just so you can see exactly what I'm doing. We're going to just throttle up to about 1700 RPM. Sounds so good, doesn't it? That sounds so nice. And we're going to do a quick mag check here. So the right mag goes to the right. Left goes to left. Got a 150 drop there, back to both. This is the fast way of doing it. Might not be quite correct. And then we're going to check the left mag of the left engine and the right mag of the right engine. And both seem okay. There's no fouling present there. All good. Can now go down. Idle. So we can tick all those off. Left and right alternator can now go to the off positions. And in this case, we're checking... Make sure they are working, of course, but also for the load on the amp. So if I just zoom right in here, you can't do this in VR, guys. This is why to say you can see this, hopefully, you know, much clearer. So we're going to take off the left alternator and notice the drop there. That is fantastic. We'll now do the same with the right alternator. Again, we've got a drop there. That's all good. Go back to the checklist now. Okie dokie. So we've done that. That's all good. Oh yes, we do need to make sure as well that the annunciator light comes on. It does there. And by the way, these beautiful lights here, they do light up more when there's more engine power. It does remind me of an old bike I used to have. It was a VFR 750. And when I used to sort of blip the throttle, you could see how the headlight would get brighter and then dimmer just because the rectifier was quite old. I love how those kind of things are modelled as well. Very black square, very, very cool indeed. Prop heat, we now can switch that on. If you don't know where things are, here you go, it'll show you down here. Switch that on. We have a noticeable load on the alternator there. And also we can do the same for the windshield heat, which is here. All good. And of course we need to make sure that the annunciator light is shown as well. Beautiful. Right, I'll tick all those off. Left pitot heat on now. Again, check for the annunciator light and the load on the amps. Left pitot heat off. Same again for the right. That's all good as well. We are going to need them on today, so I'm going to switch them on now so I don't forget. As you can see, there's a lot to remember with this. Fuel vent heat is on. Switch that on there. And again, there's an increase in the amps. Fantastic. Stall warning heat can now be switched on as well. And now we can switch them all off because those are fine. This is cool as well. The surface de-icing needs to be checked. So we have an auto and manual mode here. And we need to check the boot pressure. So if I just click this to manual mode, you'll see it will hopefully, again, see there the de-icing pressure is between 10 and 20 psi. And then we'll go ahead and do that again, auto mode. That shows it's fully functioning. We definitely need to make sure that's working, especially today if we get any icing. And look at that, I've left my fuel pump on. How bad is that? Oh dear. I bet you're shouting on the screen there, telling me that my fuel pump was on. Thanks guys if you did let me know. Appreciate it. Now, one thing I do want to show you is the autopilot system. That is absolutely brilliant. And I haven't shown this on the Bonanza, so this is a good opportunity to show this now. We're going to test that this is working okay. So at the moment the heading bug is to the right. What we're going to do is switch on the autopilot and then switch on the heading mode. Notice how the yoke is now moving to the right very, very gradually. That is brilliant. Yeah, I don't know how they model all of these things. Just to think the amount of coding that is needed to make this come alive like this is just beyond my understanding. It's incredible. I think we're about ready, guys. Oh, no, we're not. Hang on, there's some more things to do. Oh, that's, yeah, generally speaking, that is, we're checking flaps, making sure the window is closed, all that kind of stuff. So I think we're all good there. I reckon we're ready to jump into VR, folks, because that's where things are going to get really interesting, especially with the wind we have today. Make sure that's turned off. So I will see you in a few moments' time in the DOF Reality H2 in the Varjo AERO as we fly from Birmingham Airport to Liverpool in very gusty weather. I'll see you in a moment. Okay, and just like that, with the power of YouTube editing, we're now sat in the Varjo AERO in the H2 motion platform in the Black Square Baron. And I'm looking forward to taking her for a flight over to Liverpool. In fact, I'll just show you because I fancy using the GTN 750, so I'll just zoom in for you. Look at this. Just change this. Just like that. How easy is that? Super, super easy. Fantastic. Right, anyway, so just going to make sure that we're leaned because we are now going to taxi. We have done the run-up prior to taxi simply because I wanted to show you that out of VR. Now, I just want to say that because I'm in a motion rig, I can feel already that I'm in a different aircraft. And what I mean by that is the vibration of everything feels different. So I can really sense the engines like on either side of my wing. It's hard to explain. It's fantastic. And because the Baron has so much power on takeoff, again, you sense that. So one thing I totally forgot to do, and that's show you the night lighting. So as we taxi, I'll just do that now, because I tell you what, it's absolutely beautiful. The dynamic lighting they have added into this aircraft is probably the best I've seen actually to date. Look at that. I'll tell you guys, that is one hell of an office. It's so beautiful, so relaxing. I could quite happily just fly with this sort of environment for the rest of the flight, but for YouTube content it's not so great. So we'll just stick it back to daytime again. But I thought I'd just show you that. Right then guys, I think we're about ready for takeoff. We'll just brake here a minute. Love that feeling. Landing light can come on, taxi light off, strobe light is now on. We don't think we need that on. We have the pitot heat on, that's all good. So throttle closed. Oh, hang on, that's the ground failure. We don't want that. But that's just to show you actually that there is a checklist for everything. Yeah, so throttles will be open, brakes released, engine instruments check. Retract, flaps at 100 knots, autopilot engaged. So we're all good there, guys. So I think we're ready to take off now. This is where all the excitement happens. And I can't tell you how different it feels knowing that all these systems are working behind the scenes. Things can go wrong, and that's in the back of your mind, just like it would be in real life. And that alone is worth the price of the add-on, in my opinion. Now, just to say also that the interior has been remodeled, not just the panel lighting, but I believe, obviously the gauges, but also the interior itself is all different. And it does look very, very nice, I have to say. So watch what happens when we throttle up for takeoff. Here we go. Keeping a close eye on those gauges. I really feel the acceleration. Put the yoke back on actually as well. Notice there that I had quite a bit of P factor as well. And there's a crosswind. Going to be a bumpy ride this. We are airborne. Positive rate gear can come up now. I even felt the thud of the gear there. Flaps up. Look how much we're moving through the air today. It really is quite a nasty day outside. Quite a bit of rain showers around as well. If I'm honest, this is my favourite type of weather to fly in. I'll just back off the RPMs now. Checking the T's and P's are all good. Now, many of you have asked me, does the motion rig simulate turbulence? Yes, absolutely. And it feels incredible. And you really get a sense with the Baron that you've got two massive engines on your wing. And you have to make sure that you do everything by the book. So we'll just get on course now. It's just a short little hop really to Liverpool from here. We'll climb to about 3,000 feet. It's going to be quite a low flight today. And then we'll check our cruise checklist, which will involve leaning the mixture as well. But she feels really nice to fly. The flight model has been improved, and that has been with real-world Baron pilots. Now, I don't know to what extent that is, but it definitely feels different from the default aircraft in every sense of the word. Right, so autopilot can... in fact, we'll just change the CDI there. Autopilot is now on. We'll keep to 3,000 feet. And actually, for the first part, we'll just use our heading bug, which we'll use the Bravo for that. Can you see that, guys? Zoom in for you there. Just moving that so that we can intercept our course. So even though we're only about 3,000 feet, we will lean the mixture a little bit just to show you the EDM 760 display. So for that, what we're going to do is lean the right engine. And what we're looking for is peak EGT. There we are, we found it already because obviously we're not that high. And then we're going to just gently increase the mixture again until we get about minus 7.5, I think it is. Keep going, keep going. In fact, there we go. That's about it. So yeah, you can see we don't really need to lean the mixture because we are quite low. But I thought I'd show you that anyway in action. The EDM 760 is fantastic and very, very well detailed. It's a very, very clever system. And it's a massive congratulations to Black Square for really giving the general aviation enthusiast flight simmer such as myself, you know, the dream really, and that is creating really study level aircraft for very good value for money. I mean, the fact that they're using the default aircraft means that they don't have to worry about the external modelling and all that kind of stuff. And I do feel myself personally that the Asobo models of the default aircraft are already very, very nice. So to get more of the systems depth is fantastic. It's a great solution of keeping the cost down. And we need to now go into nav mode because I'm veering off course here. Right then, we'll just check, make sure we're doing everything fairly realistically here. So we'll go to, yeah, cruise. Cowl flaps, right, they need to be closed now actually, so we'll do that now. Landing lights can now be switched off. Pitot heat, if less, well actually yeah, I don't think we're going to need it today. Especially at this altitude, so we'll switch that off. Prop heat as required, surface de-ice as required, fuel imbalance, I think we're all good here actually at the moment. Lean mixture, done that. Prop to 2,500 RPM. So anything, we can just increase that a little bit. There we go. Throttle full open. I'm not quite sure what that means for cruise. We don't need to fully open. Cabin heat as desired. Air conditioning as desired. That is on now. Engine performance monitor. So we're all good, folks. I'll leave you with a few shots, maybe a bit of music, and I'll see you as we get closer to Liverpool. So folks, we're nearly at Liverpool now, as you can see. I hope you enjoyed that little interlude. There's so many features to this aircraft, it's quite difficult to mention all of them in this little review. So I'm just scratching the surface of some of the things this can do. For instance, like the avionics, like the Garmin GMA 340 audio panel down there, the Bendix King KMA24 audio panel, the Garmin GTN 750, of course, is all modelled and implemented and integrated. Oh my goodness me, the oxygen pressure system is all modelled. There's so much going on here, folks, and actually I would recommend, and I'll leave a link in the description below, of the Just Flight sort of technical overview video where the developer goes through some of these things. It's a great watch, guys. I would highly recommend it. Anyway, folks, what we're going to do, since we've got some good visibility here, I was flirting with the idea of doing an ILS, but since we have got some decent visibility, we'll go ahead and just do a standard pattern entry. So we'll just go ahead and contact tower now.
Cleared for takeoff runway.
Oh, it's busy.
Liverpool Tower Beechcraft Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra is 2 miles southeast, 2,900 feet with whiskey to land.
Beechcraft Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra Liverpool Tower. Altimeter 29.59er, wind 271 at
Roger that.
Enter left base runway 27.
Right, so we're just heading from the dead side into the live traffic pattern.
Make left base runway
Over Liverpool here.
X-Ray Golf Sierra.
I'm expecting it to be very gusty on approach. Actually, weirdly, en route it's been very calm. So, yeah, I guess we'll see as we get further down. So, descent, cowl flaps are closed, throttle reduce, mixture richen, well it's been pretty much rich the whole flight, engine performance monitor, cylinder head temperature is all good as well. Approach, seats and seat belts are secure, fuel selectors are on, oxygen is off, landing light is now on. Pitot heat, no, we're all good today, windshield is off, prop heat is off, air conditioning, that can go off now. Cowl flaps as required. I'll tell you what, we'll open them today. We'll open them up. Because it is actually quite mild, you know. Mixture, max power, flaps, we're going to set that to approach. And you see, if we do have a flap failure, we have a checklist for that as well. It's amazing, isn't it? So here we go. I can actually feel I'm drifting here. You see that look? So we'll just put a bit of a crab in now. And less talking, more flying from this point onwards. Time to concentrate. Oh, I can't tell you how real this feels, guys. Especially from my real world flying. Here we go. It's got a bit calm. We are down. I'm happy with that. I'll take that for a landing, especially in the gusty weather. Although it wasn't quite as bad as I was expecting. I did a flight last night into Leeds Bradford and that was really bumpy. Very bumpy indeed. Tell you what, let's just do a U-ey here. Listen to all those creaks and little sounds that have been added. Very, very nice. Right, we'll lean the mixture now. Landing light off. Taxi light on. Strobe light off.
Beechcraft X-ray Golf Sierra contact ground on 121.955.
Roger that. So, I'll just answer that back.
121.955 for Beechcraft X-ray
Open
Golf
the window.
Sierra.
I hope you enjoyed that sort of mini review of the Black Square Baron. There's no question this is one of my most favourite twins now. Right up there, even with the Milviz Cessna 310. And it gives you a very different experience, and in some ways a more realistic experience. You can really sense all of those systems doing their thing. It's a fantastic add-on, it really is, and I think it's very clever of Black Square to use their knowledge to be able to really enhance, well, more than enhance, completely overhaul the default aircraft in MSFS. Please do let me know in the comments what are your thoughts on this, and give me a like and all that kind of stuff. I hate saying that, but you know, it's YouTube, so I guess I have to say that sometimes. But thank you so much for watching. As always, I really appreciate it, and I'll see you again very soon. And oh, by the way, before you go, if you do have the Bonanza, then you'll get a very nice discount on the Baron. So that's really nice of Just Flight to do that. Take care. I'll see you again very soon. Bye bye for now.